Every time you engage in an argument, you are attending the invitation that they extended to you. The key is to not attend everything that you're invited to when it comes to an argument, right? You got to remember that when you keep defending yourself and defending yourself and defending yourself, there are people who do not care. There are people that you could say all day long, this is look, it's a Stanley. You could say, it says Stanley on it. This is a Stanley cup. And they're like, kind of looks like a Hydro Flask. Okay, kind of does. But it's a Stanley. I don't think it is. But it is. Now we get involved with an argument. So the defense, the constantly defending, goes into the fact that you allowed yourself to be invited in to this argument. Okay, this is where it becomes problematic. And you have to understand, I know so many of us, myself included, we weren't necessarily heard as a kid. Sometimes we weren't really heard as an early adult. Maybe you're still not heard. But you do not think that the yelling and the screaming and the arguing is going to get you somewhere. No one is listening. You're not listening either, but no one is listening. No one. So when you're walking into it, you are allowed yourself to be RSVP'd. You RSVP'd to this party that you just attended. I promise you, there is so much more energy from a positive, abundant, joyful place by just not engaging. Now, listen, again, you don't have to keep messing around with these people. If somebody's coming in sideways and you're like, whoa, whatever you're going through is what you're going through, but you don't have to attend it. That's the whole thing. Just because somebody's going through something that's a little difficult or maybe struggling with some anxiety or various things like that, be empathetic. Hey, I empathize with you, but don't take it on and don't allow the behavior because they're in dysregulation or they're in something that's happening and they don't know how to process it. They're in a different part of their journey. Do not allow that invitation to be like, well, they are doing this and they are doing that. You cannot take on their stuff. You really can't. And it's creating really negative energy, really low vibrations. And then you're allowing that to ruin your day or your week or your year or your life. You're literally allowing that because then you're trying to make it make sense. Stop trying to make it make sense. Stop. Again, I pick up this and I'm like, I love my Stanley. And they're like, yeah, I think it's a Hydro Flask. Okay. I don't care what you think. But you have to understand that when you are arguing, there is nothing productive in an argument, whether it's you, whether it's them, there's no productivity because it's not a productive conversation. It's really not. So if you can't have a productive conversation, you need to take a step back. Let them figure out whatever it is they're going to figure out. Let them say whatever they're going to say and distance. Okay. Listen, if it becomes super problematic, like where it becomes slanderous or something like that, then of course you get the legal involved, but you do not have to sit there and constantly contribute. And I think it's also important that you're aware of that, right? Because sometimes what will happen is you're like, okay, I know this logically. You could listen to this, you could listen to a podcast, you're like, okay, I got this, I got the tool. And then what happens is when you're faced with whatever that situation, when it arises, it's like you go from here to here with no filter. And then that's a good sign. If you are attending these arguments, it is really a good thing for you to say, okay, I need to work on my own self-control, my own ego, different things like that. And it's not a bad thing. You shouldn't judge yourself for it, but it's an awareness. See, when these things come up and you're like, why did I attend that? Why did I attend that argument? Right? Don't sit there and why and go into all of that conversation. You pulled back distance and that's all that matters. Pull back distance, learn next time, focus why you feel the need to get the last word in, right? So it really helps highlight areas that you can still work in. But as far as actually going in and actually attending this nonsense, you don't want to do that. So the next time you find yourself activated, when you get into an activation space, it's okay to just walk away. It really is. And you will find that the more that you don't engage in these kind of conversations, or they're not conversations, the more that you don't engage in these arguments, the better it is for your mental health and the better it is for the energy around you. And then you can start seeing things clearer and you don't take things personal. Because when you're personalizing it, that's where the problem comes. So you don't want to personalize things, okay? So do not attend every argument that you're invited to.